right, good morning, everybody. Good morning, Jess.
Good
Here we
morning.
are, day 4, day 5, depending on when you got here. But we are live from Stagwell Sport Beach, Cannes Lions Festival of Creativity 2025. My name is Gina Gray. I am with Colle McVoy, which is a proud member of the Stagwell family and a full-service creative and media agency out of Minneapolis. Jess, do you want to say hello to everybody?
Hi, everyone. I am Jessica Lachs. I'm the Chief Analytics Officer at DoorDash.
Holy cow. Jess, I'm dying to hear a little bit about your role at DoorDash, and then I want to ask you some questions.
My role at DoorDash, so I've been there almost 11 years now. I started as the first general manager and have since transitioned to lead the analytics, data science, business operations, and analytics engineering teams. And really what that means is that my teams are responsible for helping us to use data to make better decisions as fast as possible.
That's a big job, especially for DoorDash, with just the immense amount of data that you have.
It's a fun job.
It would be a very
Yes.
fun job. I'm a former media person, so I still geek out over numbers. So, well, let's talk a little bit. So, Jess, you operate in a pretty high-stakes, high-performance environment, and it's tech, it's business. How do you personally define performance, and what does it take to consistently show up at that level?
I think you really hit it with consistently. I think performance is all about being able to operate at a high level for a sustained amount of time and to continually deliver results. At DoorDash, we always say you're only as good as the last order. You could have delivered something perfectly last week or yesterday, but if you can't deliver when the customer needs it today, none of that matters. And so it's about showing up every day, and that consistency is really important.
I think that's really interesting, especially when you think about risk and precision are so critical, especially in your world. And you are launching new product features, obviously showing up for your customers on a day-to-day basis. How do you approach decision-making under pressure? Because there's a lot of pressure when people want something really fast.
There is a lot of pressure, and people get hangry. And so it's so important to deliver, reliably. And I think that the important thing here is to look at where you are for each decision within the spectrum on speed versus precision. And I think it's the job of a great analytics leader to be able to determine where on that spectrum you need to be for every decision. There are some decisions that are reversible and some that are less so. And depending on the decision you're making or the product you're shipping, that you have to find the right spot. And so we always want to err on the side of speed, and that sometimes means only 60% certainty with any given decision, but the speed is what's important. We can roll something out, we can make a decision, and if we learn that it was not the right decision, we have the ability to go back and change it as we learn more. But there are those decisions where precision is the most important thing. And then it is my responsibility and my team's responsibility to say, hold up, we actually have to go a little bit slower here. We need to be more certain. We need more data. We need to make sure that we are really doing what's best here for our customers, whether that's our consumers, our dashers, or our merchants, and slow things down.
So this might be my favorite question, this next one. So Jess, you lead analytics that influence billions of dollars in business decisions, purchase decisions of your customers, et cetera. How do you balance instinct with information? You are a data science person. Where does data help? And frankly, where can it get in the way?
That's a great question. And I think most data leaders would say, measure everything, use data for everything. And I do fundamentally believe that, but there's a time and a place. And I think intuition is incredibly valuable. I think the challenge is that as your business grows in complexity and scale, we're serving over 40 million consumers every month. Your intuition can break down, or your intuition is right about something, but there are second, third, fourth order effects that maybe you weren't expecting. And so that's where data can be incredibly powerful, because you can lead with intuition, have a hypothesis, and then go and actually test that hypothesis and get the information you need to ultimately make the best outcome. There's a funny example where, I don't know if you used DoorDash many years ago, but we used to show restaurant logos instead of food photos. And we had the intuition that food photos would be more appealing to consumers. Makes sense. seems logical. And we actually ran an experiment. We shipped that product improvement, and conversion went down. And everyone was like, "Wait, what? This makes no sense." Like, showing the pizza when someone wants to order pizza, like that should lead to more orders, more purchases, and it wasn't. Luckily, we had run this as an A/B test, and we were able to look at the experiment data, look at consumer behavior to figure out what was happening. And in fact, our algorithm was choosing the first photo that was loaded for every menu. And for some places, like a pizza place, that was a Caesar salad. And so for a pizza place, deep dish pizza, photo of a Caesar salad wasn't relevant for the consumer. And so it's not surprising that conversion had fallen. We were able to fix that, iterate, and now DoorDash looks the way it does. You see a lot of food photos when you open the app and you're searching for restaurants. And that's all because we used intuition, but we were able to validate that our intuition was correct and that it really was working the way we want it to with data.
So this next question is a little personal to me. My husband is a chef back at home and is a DoorDash partner. So partnerships play a huge role for you, whether or not it's your sponsors, brands, restaurants, just like mine. What makes collaboration work for you? And what are you learning about aligning values across all of your different stakeholders?
So aligned incentives are incredible. When people are goaled on the same thing, when they have a shared motivation, magic happens. And I think that if that's not the case, it can be really difficult because ultimately you encounter friction. So I think it's really about aligned incentives and an aligned mission, whatever that might be, whether it's to help grow a restaurateur's sales or with a brand partnership to reach a certain customer segment. I think that aligning incentives is an incredibly powerful tool to ensure that everybody is working in the same direction, working together. And then, of course, that honest feedback about what's working, what's not, and how do we change things? How do we change our goals? How do we change the way we work? And I think that there's nothing more powerful than that.
Thank you as one of your partners I'm representing. Thank you for being so nimble. Okay, so we're at Sport Beach. Let's talk a little bit about consumer connection. Whether it's a fan, watching the walk-off home run in the World Series, or a diner making a late night order, how do you think about building emotional connections through what you do?
I hope that walk-off home run is the New York Yankees in the World Series.
But you heard it here, everybody.
I'm gonna get some hate for that.
Maybe for me, I'm a Minnesota Twins fan, but you own us every year.
I think consumer connection is so important, and food and purchase decisions are so personal to the individual. And as I said, we have over 40 million monthly active users, and our goal is to make each individual feel like the experience they have on DoorDash is personal to them. So whether it's using their past purchase data or lookalike models to identify items that they might be interested in purchasing because other people who have ordered things that they've ordered have made these purchases. It's all about using the information we have, the robust underlying data that I get so passionate about, to improve the consumer experience, to reduce friction, to make it easier and more delightful for consumers to get what they need in the moment. And I think that, yes, maybe it's a burrito late night, at an event like this, or it's, an emergency. I need batteries for this thing, and I can't leave my kids to go get them, and I just need it now. I think it's about showing up in the moment for the consumer and providing them with the convenience and maybe a little bit of joy that they need that day.
So, final question. Very interesting. We talk a lot about data, right? Everybody's talking about it here, of course, at Cannes. What's one mindset or lesson from your world that you think more people, or frankly, more brands should adopt or are missing?
So for those who know me, they won't be surprised by this answer. For those who don't, it's truth-seeking. I think it's so important to be honest and accurate with what you say, and I think it's okay to be wrong, and I think that more people and brands should be willing to admit when they're wrong. As I mentioned, we often make decisions with imperfect information, and we're gonna get it wrong sometimes. But if you take accountability for that, if you correct yourself and take the new information you've learned in a very low ego way and make the change. Ultimately, it's about doing the right thing and not being right. And so I think that truth seeking, especially in today's world, is even more important. And so that is something that I live by, that my team lives by, and I think it's our responsibility at DoorDash to always tell the truth, even if we have to tell someone that their baby, they're not their literal baby, but the product that they just shipped isn't working. And it's not, oh, this is bad. It's, this isn't working, and here's why, and here's some areas that we can improve, and here are the opportunities. It's constructive, but it's honest. And I think that that's incredibly important.
Well, thank you, Jess. I got to tell you, this was very inspirational, and frankly, I learned a lot, and I'm excited to share your knowledge with my team, even back at home.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.